Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Nicoletta and I am a weird sister. If you need one, I'm here for you. And if you already have one and need another, I'm here for you as well. This month, for the month of May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, there's a lot that's already been put out for mental health awareness, all kinds of resources, all kinds of things that you can access for anxiety and depression and PTSD, bipolar disorder, all of that stuff. So on this channel this month, what we're going to do is, in addition to those things, we're going to be discussing some topics that sometimes hinder the ability to function or the ability to cope with everything you have going on, with whatever disorder you have, or whatever issue you're facing, or maybe you just need some space. Maybe you just need something to help you, figure out where you're at in your mental health. So today's topic, we're going to talk about how to treat people and how we treat each other with our mental health. And the way that I like to say that I treat people and how I embody it every day is I treat people, I meet them where they're at. I meet people where they're at. If I come to somebody with something and I see they're obviously flustered, they obviously have an issue, they obviously have something else going on, I step back from whatever I'm requesting or whatever I'm asking, and I say, what can I do to help you? Because we're clearly not going to get what we need done until we figure out what you got going on. And I just try and figure out what they got going on, and I meet them where they're at. A lot of times in today's world, we see people just constantly putting needs out and not taking in anything that's coming back to them from the other side, not fully assessing where that other person that they're trying to assess their needs with is at. We're always about me, me, me. I need, I need, I need. I want, I want, I want. And I think my theory is that, and it's a popular one, that it's because of social media and it's because of how things are today with how much we consume and how much we take in from social media, how much we take in from consumerism, etc. We need to step back. Part of being human is understanding where the other person is coming from. I promise you, in 16 years of business, across 4 businesses that I have now at 34 years old, you are never going to find an issue with somebody realizing that you are trying to see where their needs are at. You know what I'm saying? If you approach with empathy and understanding and trying to understand a process or a person before they, ask for it and you've already assessed it, they're going to probably be more receptive to whatever you need or whatever you're feeling in that moment. And then because you've been receptive and you understand what they're feeling in their moment, and now you have established trust and a boundary and a relationship with that person. So meet people where they're at. Don't just come at people constantly with your needs, your wants, etc., and then get frustrated when they can't deliver them. Everybody's job today, I don't care if you're a janitor, a CEO, a gardener, or whatever, teaching in and of itself should have its own mental health awareness month, along with nursing or any kind of service work. Wherever you're at in your journey, it's stressful and it's hard. There are responsibilities, there are duties that probably require your job, that are required of your job, that the other person probably wouldn't be able to do. And they wouldn't know how to do, and put in your shoes for a day, they probably wouldn't understand everything you're going through. Across account management for 10 plus years, when I was working full time and had some of my stuff on the side before I decided to go full on with it in 2025, I would often see that there were people that didn't feel their needs were met. They would come to me with their books, they would come to me with their issues, they would come to me with all these things, and I could see the like light behind their eyes had gone. You know what I mean? And it's because they are now just so focused on their work, on their job, and they feel like that's going to make them feel fulfilled and validated because no one ever validates their needs or how they feel. We lost touch with that as a country. We lost touch with the ability to just meet people where they're at, ask someone how their day is going and genuinely mean it, ask someone how they're feeling and genuinely try to understand. Ask with the intent to listen and not to reply. These are all basic communication, empathy skills as human beings, and we've stepped away from all of them because you can now put into a system, into ChatGPT or Google or wherever, I need this, and it'll give it to you right away. And we don't have a filter that when we talk to people now, that I need this. And then when they don't give it to you immediately, you get frustrated. I see this time and time again, and I've often had to mediate this kind of thing throughout my career and got really good at it. And it's hard to watch people have the light behind their eyes go away, because of that thing, that simple lack of empathy, that simple lack of understanding. So meet people where they're at. Meet people with the intent to understand, not the intent to reply, not the intent of your issue being first. Your issue isn't first. If they're the one that needs to help you, they're first. They're first. That person on the other line, if they're having an issue, they need you to help them work through that first before you can proceed with your issue. That's how the world should work. It doesn't, but that's how the world should work. We are so set on turning service workers or people that, even just family or friends, that this is what I need and this is why I need it and this is what you have to give me. Give, give, give. And people, I want people to give, give, give. And you just take, take, take. That's not how the world works. It's why we're all, in my theory, exhausted. Mentally exhausted, emotionally burnt out. I don't know where we fell off the bandwagon with this. I don't know what happened, but it needs to change. And I think if we're going to continue as a society and succeed, that's what we need to do, is meet people where they're at. Meet people where they're at. Meet people with the intent to understand. Meet people with the intent to want to figure out what's going on. Now, granted, there are times where there's a reverse of that, and you have to treat people like they deserve, right? Maybe you've given that empathy, you've given that understanding, you've given that perspective, you've tried to, come at them with grace and empathy and everything first, and that intent to understand where they're at. And maybe they're just constantly nasty with you. Maybe they're just constantly in a mood, or they never make you feel included. They never have your needs met. They never understand where you're coming from. And there's not that same reciprocation. Well, those people, you treat those people like they deserve. And the way I like to treat people like that after I've listened to them, I've understood them, I've tried to make every attempt with them, I cut them out. I cut them out. That's what they deserve. You don't get access to me anymore. You don't get access to my peace anymore. And your priority for me now, I had you here. You're now here. No in between. That you're here and I'm there and I'm listening to you and everything's great and everything's wonderful. And then I see you treating me like shit when I'm doing all this, right to jail. Okay, as they say on Parks and Rec, right to jail. Okay, and that's the only way you can deal with those people. The people that disrupt peace, the people that disrupt empathy, the people that disrupt communication or that human nature to want to understand or, you know, have that basic human connection to get a problem resolved, right to jail. Right to jail. Now, I'm not telling you if you're in a work environment or something like that to do this in such a way where you get fired or you get let go. I'm not telling you if you're in a situation where you're in maybe a different way with all of this, that you should do this and it risks your life, someone else's life, your financial being, someone else's financial being. You know, do this in as many doses as you can to set your boundary if you're in that situation. Don't take it to an extreme. Don't take it to an extreme. Use it in what seems right for you. If you see you have a coworker that thinks they're your boss, for example, and they constantly are treating you like shit, and you've tried to understand, you've tried to empathize with them, you've tried to help on projects, something like that, and they just take, and they don't give in return, their priorities, right to jail. Okay? If you have somebody that's maybe a higher up, where it's take, and there's no give, you haven't received a raise, you haven't received a review that reflects accurately how you should be getting a raise or better treatment at that job. And that's a very specific situation. You haven't received a review that reflects your value as a person, and you've not received any real constructive feedback, you know, you've not received any real anything from them, and they just take, and they don't give. They don't give you resources, they don't give you help, they don't give you understanding of how things might need to be better, or they don't give you understanding of what maybe needs to change or, you know, what they're looking for, and they just take, and they treat you like Google. What you do with that person is you knock them down a peg and you say, look, I've tried to reason with you, I've tried to work with you, I've tried to, you know, handle things as best I can, but it doesn't seem that we're on the same page. I'd love to connect to see where we might be able to fix some of these things and figure them out together and show you how my communication style reflects what I need. And maybe I can learn what your communication style is so I can learn that from you. You've now come at them with kindness, you've set a boundary, and you've shown them that you're a human being. You're not Google. And you're trying to understand where they're at in the most respectful way possible. Now, if they come back at you and they're like still treating you like shit, time to get on ZipRecruiter. Time to get on ZipRecruiter. Time to get on Indeed. Time to go find something else. Because nothing in this world is worth being treated like garbage. Okay? And we have a saying around here in my little home office. I don't take constructive criticism from people who haven't constructed shit in their lives. Okay? If this person, if all they've ever constructed in their life is a career in sales, a career in management, a career in whatever, and they've not constructed anything else besides that, and they don't care what you're doing and you're constructing, but they have every way to change it with no real empathy, fuck them. Fuck them. That you don't need that. Okay? That is somebody that is never going to be happy. They're never going to be happy. I have yet to find anybody that's in a corporate job that is truly happy. Okay? That truly wakes up in the morning and is genuinely happy to do what they do. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in today's world. And it doesn't exist because the cultures have changed so rapidly to being all about profit and all about people. I don't care what company you're in, it is like that everywhere. Okay? And I don't think you need to learn how to deal with it. Okay? I don't think you need to learn how to function in that kind of environment. That is literally asking you, as a human being, to learn how to function in chaos. That is not of your choosing, that is not of your control, and you treat people like that how they deserve. And you move on, and you move out, and you move up. And when they don't have enough asses in seats, and they look around the room and it's empty, and they look around the room and they realize they treated people like absolute garbage, constantly demanding with no reciprocation, then they learn they've been treated like they deserve. They didn't meet people where they were at, and now they get treated like they deserve. So I'll leave you with this. Do the best that you can in the world, whatever that looks like for you. If that means rolling out of bed, waking up, breathing, having a cup of coffee, eating your breakfast, don't skip breakfast, and going through your workday and functioning as you need to, so be it. You do not have to go above and beyond for people that haven't gone beyond their own limits. You do not have to accept constructive criticism from people who haven't constructed shit with their lives. You do not have to try to understand people who do not attempt to try to understand you. I say attempt. That's the minimum. That's the minimum of a human interaction. So if that's what that means for you, just getting out of bed, functioning, doing what you need to do, so be it. So be it. If that means maybe taking a couple mental health days and figuring things out, so be it. So be it. If that means that maybe you need to implement something in your day where you have the ability to sit with yourself and meditate and take 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever you need for you, so be it. And if they genuinely care about you, they will meet you where you are at, if you meet them where they are at, right? That's how it should work. And if they don't, treat them like they deserve and figure it out and move onwards and upwards. Real simple. Real simple. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So with that, I'll leave you with those things, those notions and ideas as they are. And yeah,